welcome to Oddify. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Megan.
And this is the first episode of our podcast, Deadly Medicine, I think.
Deadly Medicine.
Yeah, that's correct.
I think that's what we called it.
Something like that. Anyways, you can probably guess by the title that we're going to be talking about doctors, nurses, hospital professionals that kill.
Serial killers.
Yes, serial killers.
They murdered their patients.
They definitely murdered them. We're hoping to not do too many serial killer podcasts, but that is a huge interest for both of us, so
Definitely.
it'll probably happen more than a few times. So today we have Megan, who is doing
Dr. Thomas Neill Cream, but I'll be calling him Dr. Cream because
Dr. Cream.
Yes.
Such a good name.
It's beautiful.
If only he wasn't such a terrible person.
Right?
And
Exactly.
I am doing Jolly Jane Toppan.
Was she jolly?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess sometimes, yeah. I'll talk about how she got her name.
Okay.
I think, if I included that in my research. I'm going to start today, and then Megan will go, and maybe, like, next time we alternate
Yeah.
or something. I don't know.
I like that idea.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so I'm going to start the tale of Jane Toppan, also known as Jolly Jane. So prepare yourselves, because this bitch is crazy. First of all, she's born in 1854, which is 7 years before the Civil War begins. So, like,
Okay.
that's going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, she does not have a lot to look forward to. But she was born in Boston, which is, like, that's really far north, so and I don't think there were any battles in Massachusetts that I'm aware of.
Not that I know of.
Yeah,
I
I'm
could be
pretty
totally wrong, though. I don't know much war history.
With a bachelor's degree in history, I can tell you that I'm pretty sure there weren't any Civil War battles in Boston.
At least you're certified.
Yeah, I mean, at least I don't have a doctorate, so that would be even more embarrassing.
Right.
So she's born, like I said, in Boston. Her birth name is Honora. She went by Nora Kelly. Her parents, Peter and Bridget, were Irish immigrants. Her mother dies in 1863, and of course, her abusive alcoholic father. Because what else would he be?
Right.
He takes her and her older sister to the Boston Female Asylum, which is basically an orphanage where it's only for women or girls, and they keep them until they're 15, and then they send them off to basically be house servants for like rich families.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
15-year-olds as servants.
Yeah. But hold on.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Also, her dad reportedly was institutionalized after sewing his eyelid shut. So there's that. Maybe it runs in the family. I couldn't find any other information on this. It was just one article that mentioned it, so who knows.
Why did he sew his eyes shut, though? Now I want to know.
Well,
Was he seeing things?
he was an alcoholic, so maybe he just got
Drunk one day. And
Got
went,
drunk
I'm gonna do this.
he drank one too many. What did they drink back then? Just wine, probably.
Wine and whiskey. I'm sure
Oh,
whiskey
yeah.
was a thing.
He
I'm
just
almost positive.
He just drank one whole whiskey and just lost his
one
shit.
whole whiskey.
One whole whiskey. So that was just a little side fact I needed to include.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the rest of the story, but I thought it was funny. In 1865, she was lucky, I guess, because she only spent 2 years in the asylum. She becomes an indentured servant to the Toppan family. Now I'm just imagining having an 11-year-old as a servant, because 11-year-olds suck.
Yes.
So, what you tell an 11-year-old to do something and they go to their room and scream about it, or they do something really, really bad in order to get back at you. Like,
yeah.
how does this work? I mean, I guess she spent 2 years in an asylum learning how to do this, so she might be a little better, but she's still 11.
Right. I feel like there were probably a lot of tantrums. And a lot of...
Probably a lot of beating.
Yelling. Oh, yeah.
That would be my guess. Like,
I would assume so.
it was 1865, so
She was a servant, so.
it was probably lots of that.
What was her name? Or Honra?
Honora.
Honora?
It's like honor with an A at the end, and then it said she went by Nora.
Okay.
But then when she moves in with the Toppan family, she changes her name, or they change her name, I'm not sure, to Jane. She takes their last name, but she's never legally adopted by them. So she wasn't actually a member of their family. She just lived with them, and they were like, it's like when you give your cat your last name. Like,
They just live with you rent free, but
yeah, they're not related to you at all, but you're just like.
cats won't do what you tell them to do, though. Though maybe the 11-year-olds wouldn't either. So maybe they are like cats.
I think 11-year-olds and cats are one and the same. That can be our first t-shirt.
Yes. 11-year-olds and cats.
And the
One
back,
and the same.
the back says one and the same.
Yes.
It's great.
I love it.
She was described as brilliant and aggressive, but also enjoyed lying and petty theft. You know, normal 11-year-old things.
That's a good Tinder profile. I'm aggressive.
Single, likes long walks on the beaches, enjoys petty theft and lying. At 18, she graduated. I can't remember the name of the school. I didn't write it down. It was high school. She stayed with the Toppan family for 10 years, working for her foster sister Elizabeth and her husband Oramel.
Oh. These some very interesting names.
Yeah, you know.
1800s, man.
Definitely sounds like he was a Civil War guy.
I would say, yeah. Maybe he was Colonel Oramel.
I don't know if he was in the military, but he was a church deacon.
Oh, fancy.
In 1885, she went to Cambridge Hospital to train as a nurse. And because she was so happy and popular with the patients, she earned the name Jolly Jane. But this is where things kind of take a dark turn. Outside, this is just a little side thing. Apparently outside of her job, she guzzled beer, told dirty jokes, gossiped madly, and enjoyed turning her friends against each other. So she sounds like a really good person, and
Sounds like a great friend.
I've met many people like her, to be honest. So that's not too surprising.
No, that just means that not much has changed since the 1800s.
No, I guess everyone's society's always been full
Beer
of jerks.
guzzlers.
Beer guzzlers. Society's always been beer guzzlers.
Yes.
Bumper sticker. She began experimenting on patients at Cambridge Hospital to see the effects that morphine and atropine had on their bodies by giving them different dosages and basically using innocent sick people as lab rats. So she'd go into a room, you know, I have no idea what the hospitals were like. I'm sure there was probably like 10 people in one hospital room. Probably go in there and pick out whichever one she liked the best and be like, hey, I'm going to give you like 80 milligrams of morphine and see what happens, and then give the next person 100 milligrams of morphine.
You just see her with her notebook writing down.
I'm not sure if she was so scientific about it, but though patients definitely died under her care during this time, there was no suspicion that she was to blame for the deaths, so it's unknown how many lives she claimed during this period. People died from paper cuts back then, so it's really hard to and like I'm assuming if you were already sick in the hospital in the 1860s, oh I'm sorry, this was 1885. I'm assuming if you died in the hospital, they probably didn't do an autopsy on you.
No, because you were being treated. They probably didn't even think about it.
Yeah, you're already sick. You just died from your sickness. So she's probably the only one that knows how many people she actually killed. There's no way that she didn't kill some people that way.
Right.
In 1891, though, she was dismissed from Cambridge and also Massachusetts General Hospital due to allegations she was being reckless with opiates. But, like, this wasn't an allegation. She was definitely doing this. And I guess instead of investigating, they were just like, hey, I guess fire her and she can be someone else's problem. And that sounds about right.
Sounds about right, yeah.
As a private nurse, I should probably mention that. After she gets fired, she just becomes a private nurse. She basically had the perfect opportunity to continue her fantasies. She would live in house with her patients or visit them daily, and she had unsupervised, unaccompanied access to sick individuals, and they completely trusted her to heal them and help them feel better. So you invite someone into your house, and you're like, yes, this nurse is going to come heal me. She's not.
No.
Her landlord, Israel Dunham, is the first officially known murder, though, like I said, I'm pretty sure there were at least a few.
There had to have
Before
been.
that.
There's no way there couldn't have been.
Yeah. It's unknown whether she had any ulterior motive for killing him, possibly because landlords usually suck, but she never.
I was just gonna say, it's probably just because he was a shitty landlord.
He wanted his money, and she was like, fuck you.
I'm just gonna murder your ass.
There you go. I mean, 2 years later, she was living with his wife, Lovey, who was, she was a widow, so she probably got sick or needed someone to take care of her, so she hired Jane in as her live-in nurse, and then she was like, hey, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. It kills her too. That same year, she poisoned patient Mary McNear, and then she became obsessed with becoming a matron in the dining hall at the theological school in Boston. So I don't know why you would want to be a matron in a dining hall. That sounds kind of not fun. But my guess is that she probably, in her mind, thought she could easily administer opiates in food and drink. So, people here in the food hall
that would
just
make sense.
poison people.
Just sneak some morphine in their water or something.
Yeah, anything. Even
opioids.
Yeah, there's I'll get to that.
Okay.
The current matron at the time was an old friend of hers named Myra Connors, and as you can probably guess, Jane killed her in order to steal her lunch lady job. And have you seen the show Ratched?
No, I
Sarah
haven't
Paulson?
yet, but I
Okay.
want to watch
It's really good.
it. Okay.
And I totally get the Nurse Ratched vibes from Jane, 100%, because she's just she's sort of ambitious in this way, where to get what she wants, she's ruining other people's lives.
Just gonna murder them,
Just murder, set them up for destruction. But that show's really great. I never read the book, but it wouldn't really surprise me if the character is loosely based on Jane Toppan. I didn't look that up, but
could be. I've never watched it, so I have no idea.
you should watch it. Everybody,
I will.
Our first sponsor is, just kidding.
Yeah, don't say that.
No, we'll get fired.
We'll get in trouble. I mean, but if they want to.
Yeah, if they definitely want to sponsor us, we'll talk about anything you want.
Our first episode, definitely needs sponsors.
I'm sure that so many people are going to listen to this that it'll get to
the producers
Netflix?
and directors of
Netflix.
Is it a Netflix original?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Okay.
Anyways, continuing on.
So working as a lunch lady at the theological school didn't last really long for her.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. I just like how she goes from nurse practitioner, to live-in nurse to lunch lady.
You gotta climb the ladder. That's how you get there.
I don't think that's climbing. I feel like she was descending that ladder.
The ladder broke.
The ladder broke.
The ladder broke.
Halfway down.
She fell. So she was let go because of financial irregularities, or as I like to call it, Jane, you are stealing money and trying to murder people. Please leave.
I would say so. Probably.
It was definitely, she was stealing money or messing around with their finances, which I don't know how
she was probably taking the money to buy opioids to put in the food.
Yeah, because it would have been it was pretty much untraceable in the 1800s, but besides that,
yeah,
she was just getting more money that way.
True.
There were no reported incidents or deaths related to her job there, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if she was able to go undetected during this time. Who's going to suspect this previous nurse lunch lady at a respectable religious institution is poisoning people?
That's true.
She wouldn't do that.
Probably fell right under their noses.
Every time. A few years later, in 1899, her murders became more frequent and personal. Her foster sister, I don't know if you remember, her name was Elizabeth, married to Ormel. Trusting her previous sister / servant / nurse, allowed Jane to take care of her and she was given a large dose of strychnine, which is a highly toxic pesticide. And the other day we actually were talking about this because in Megan's story, strychnine also plays like a huge role.
Yeah, he used a lot of strychnine. Mr. Cream did.
And what year was this about? Was that the 1800s?
Well, he was born in 1850 and
Oh.
was hanged in 1891. So it's about the same time period.
Yeah, because
Exactly,
she was
pretty
born
much.
in 54.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you said her birthday. I was like, wow, they were actually alive the same time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, apparently
Cool.
in the 1850s to the 1900s, strychnine was just the thing to do if you wanted to kill somebody.
It's the thing to do.
That's the thing to do, to strychnine them.
Strychnine. I love. Can we also make another sweatshirt or a mug that just says strychnine?
Yes.
Maybe a mug, because then it's like
I want that.
poison
Yeah.
in the mug.
Or like a
Strychnine.
reusable water bottle. I don't know.
Yes.
Strychnine them.
I love that. Let's do it.
Okay. Anyways, I'm glad this is our first podcast and we already have 3 ideas for merch, so that's good.
So coming in the future, anybody who wants to help us
Please
make
just
this merch.
please just listen to our podcast so we can make this merch. That's all we care about.
Yep. I mean, we'll still make it even if they don't, but I still want that cup.
She actually gives her strychnine in a glass of mineral water. So there you go.
There we go.
There's a quote from her here after she was caught, obviously, saying, "I held her in my arms and watched with delight as she gasped her life out."
Wow, that's sadistic.
She really hated her, and I guess part of this reason was because she wanted to marry Oromel. And she tried. She definitely tried. She killed his housekeeper, 77-year-old Edna Bannister, and then took over the position of housekeeper, trying to impress Oromel with her housekeeping skills. And he was like, I don't want to marry you, and I also don't want you to clean my stuff anymore. He didn't want any of that.
He went, no thank you, please leave.
This is where she does the greatest thing. She, you know when a guy doesn't like you, you want him to like you back, you just gotta give him a little poison so he's sick enough that you have to take care of him, and then that's how you win him over. That's how you get it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how you do it.
That's
right.
how you get the ring. But that didn't work. So it's so weird though, right? Like that
I would
didn't
assume
work.
that would have worked. I mean, I don't know why it didn't. That's a catch if I ever heard of one.
Well, when this didn't work, she had one other plan in mind, and that was to threaten him, to say she was going to tell everybody that she was pregnant, and he was like, get out. So he literally kicks her out of the house. She then tries to commit suicide with morphine, but she's hospitalized and survives. So could have been the end, but
Gosh darn it.
we
Almost had her.
we almost had her.
Sorry.
In 1901, she also poisoned the housekeeper of her new landlords, Melvin and Eliza Beadle, but only enough to make her seem intoxicated so she could steal her job. So she's again,
What a bitch.
yeah, she's like manipulate. She just wants these jobs, and
Wants the job so she can get close to the people.
yeah, because she also poisoned the landlords.
Oh, again.
But she didn't kill them either. She just really liked to poison people.
Oh,
So
okay. It was just her hobby.
yeah,
We can add that to the Tinder profile.
yeah,
Poisoning.
poisoning,
Petty theft.
threatening pregnancies.
Yes.
And that whole year was pretty busy for Jane. Traveling from Bourne to Cambridge to collect Jane's $500 in rent she owed her family, this new landlord,
A third one?
yeah,
Wow.
we can just keep going here. Maddie Davis accepted a glass of Hunyadi mineral water from Jane, and just seriously, she hated landlords, I guess. This is like the 3rd set of landlords she's gone after. I don't understand. But I also had to Google what in the hell Hunyadi mineral water was, and apparently Hunyadi Janos Mineral Company, aka Hungarian bitter water,
Oh.
was a company started in 1863 that produced basically they produced a mineral water that they marketed as a laxative. The mineral water claimed medicinal qualities, including curing organic diseases resulting from a fatty degeneration, for the organs of respiration and circulation, for the evil consequences of indiscretion in diet, and the keystone, helping in relieving hemorrhoids.
Oh, lovely.
So she gave her a little bit of that, and also put, did I say what she put in it?
I don't remember.
No, I did
Not
not.
strychnine.
I don't know what she put in it.
Okay.
Anyway, she poisoned this bitch.
Maybe it was strychnine.
Could have been. So she died, but she also didn't have hemorrhoids. So
Well, that's good. I mean, plus, died without hemorrhoids.
yeah, it was 1901. I'm sure lots of people had hemorrhoids, but she didn't.
But she didn't. That's all that matters. Another assured idea.
I just had to include this because this is the kind of podcast I want this to be. We talk
Yes.
about murder and hemorrhoids.
Yes. I love it. That's the only way.
So yeah, Jane poisoned her ass, and of course also became her nurse. So you know how this ends.
Cured hemorrhoids.
After Maddie's death, Jane moves in with her husband, Alden Davis, and their 2 married children, Geraldine and Minnie. So I guess they're just married, but they live with their parents. I'm assuming they're rich. I don't understand
Probably.
why else you would be married and staying with your parents at this time.
I don't know. Family household? Did they do that back then? Have like the large households where the children stayed with the parents?
I feel like in the U.S. by then, that was not
Yeah,
a
that makes
societal
sense.
thing
Yeah,
anymore,
it
but
wasn't.
I could be wrong. I have no idea.
I'm not a history. I don't have a.
And I am. Shows you what good that did. On July 26th, Geraldine, who's the youngest of the daughters, was murdered by Jane. Less than 2 weeks later, she also murdered Alden, the father, and after failing to convince Minnie to forgive her debt, which she still owed for the rent, she also killed Minnie. So she was like, no, you have to pay me, and she was like, no, I'm going to kill you. So she did. And finally,
Another landlord, technically?
it was the
Somebody
landlord's
asking for
child,
money.
but the landlords were dead, so she became the landlord. So yeah,
Yeah.
she kills so many landlords.
It's all. There has to be a thing with landlords.
She could have been the landlord killer. What a more interesting name than Jolly Jane. Finally, someone is like, weird how everyone around Jane dies, and in similar ways. Like, it took this long for someone.
How many years was that?
So she started in, God, what year did she start murdering people? 1895 was her first known murder, and it was 1901 when this happened. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah, and apparently no one's thought anything suspicious.
Until now, it's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, and the person that finds this suspicious is Minnie's father-in-law, not her husband. I don't have any idea why the husband is never involved, but the father-in-law is like, hey, you killed my husband's wife. Like, you definitely killed her. She was fine, like, last week. So he gets a toxicologist and a judge.
Hold on, we're gonna cut this out, but you just said that the father-in-law said, you just killed my husband's wife.
I 100% did say
And
that.
I was like,
No, we're leaving this part in because
Okay.
that's hilarious.
Okay.
Anyway, it was the father-in-law. Okay? You know what he
Yeah.
is. I'm just gonna continue on and pretend like I didn't make a mistake.
Okay, sorry.
That's just how my brain works.
Same.
You killed my husband's wife. So he gets a toxicologist and a judge to have his daughter-in-law's body exhumed. They find she was poisoned with morphine and atropine. So,
Wonder who did it.
yeah, it's weird. On October 29th, Jane is arrested and goes to trial the following year. The judge and jury found Jane not guilty by reason of insanity, so she is sent to Taunton State Hospital and dies in 1938, August 17th, 1938. She gets to live her whole life, basically, just because they said she was crazy.
Wow.
I have this little excerpt here. After she's arrested, one patient, Amelia Finey, former patient, she had an operation in 1887 and recognized Jane Toppan. The former nurse gave her a dose of bitter medicine during her stay at the hospital, causing her to lose consciousness. Jane had then climbed into bed and kissed her all over her face, but something startled her and she stopped. The next morning, Finey decided it had all been a dream until Toppan's arrest. So, definitely, she
Wow.
definitely had, like, a sexual element. I mean, I feel like all serial killers do have like a sexual.
Yeah, there's some sort of sadistic,
Like
mental.
they get off on.
Yeah.
They get off on it, and that's just. It's so weird. It's just so weird. It's
so weird.
You can't understand it.
No, it's creepy. If you did understand it, I would be a little concerned.
You
So.
should be. Or you would.
I would be.
You would be concerned.
Not I should be.
No,
I shouldn't be.
You would be.
Okay.
You should not be. I'm fine.
Fine.
When questioned about her murders, she of course blamed everything on her boyfriend who dumped her when she was 16. But I would so love to blame everything that's gone wrong in my life on my boyfriend from when I was 16.
Same.
He might hear this though, so I'm not.
I mean, I never had a boyfriend when I was 16. But I mean, if I did, I would like to blame it on him. Why wouldn't she blame it on her dad? Because he's the one that sewed his eyes shut.
Supposedly.
Supposedly.
He also beat her and was
Right.
just abusive and left her in an orphanage when she was
I feel like that's
11.
more credible. Like, this is why I'm insane. My dad beat the shit out of me and sewed his eyeballs shut.
No,
He
she was
didn't
like,
wanna look at me anymore.
My 16-year-old boyfriend broke my heart.
Oh.
But she is quoted saying, "If I had been a married woman, I probably would not have killed all those people. I would have my husband, my children, and my home to take up my mind." But I'm pretty sure that's also not how things work, and I don't think your murderous tendencies just disappear because you say a few vows and procreate. I could be wrong.
Though she might have been telling the truth, because if she had a husband and children, they would have taken up her time, because she would have been spending all her time probably murdering them.
That is such a good point, and you're 100% right. Because if she had married anyone or had any kids, she 100% would have killed them. Like,
they wouldn't have lived.
she had no sympathy for
No.
anything she did, and she just killed whoever she wanted or whoever would get her a lunch lady job.
A lunch lady job.
Whatever she could get. Like, if she wanted it, she murdered them.
I still like how she descends a ladder instead of climbing the ladder.
Yeah,
Just like,
she just keeps going. She went from lunch lady to housekeeper.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's down the ladder or about the same.
But then she went from housekeeper to living in an insane asylum. So I feel like
She
it just
definitely,
kind of...
she just plummeted.
Yeah.
She went from like almost, like she was a nurse in like a Massachusetts state hospital.
Could have been very successful. Because I feel like Massachusetts is more of like a rich
That feels
area.
Like, yeah, you feel like you hear someone being a doctor in Massachusetts, in Boston, and you're like, oh my
Wow,
god,
that's impressive.
they're amazing. But it's so weird to me too that she's like, they always try to place, serial killers always try to place blame on
it's
someone
never
or
their
something.
fault.
No,
No.
they can't. They're like, nope. Like Bundy was like, it was all that porn. All the porn made me kill people.
Yes.
Not like every single person in the world watches porn every single day and they don't go and murder people. I'm sure some of them do.
Probably.
Definitely some of them do. But I would say I don't think that the percentages even out to you so that you can say that
No.
that's a reason that they do it.
No, I would not say so.
But to just kind of conclude this story, so yeah, she dies in an insane asylum. But I think the reason her story is so scary is because she's someone that you should have been able to trust to save your life, not take it away.
Right.
We go to hospitals and doctors completely trusting that they want to help and that they would never harm us. And in our most vulnerable state, we can so easily be taken advantage of. And that's exactly what Jane did. In the end, she confessed to 31 murders, but it is more likely those numbers are closer to 100. And it would not surprise me if, like I said, she was killing people way before 1895, and if she was killing more people that aren't listed in here, like who knows? Because no one had an idea. Like I said, it's the 1800s. People die from paper cuts every day. Okay, I don't. You die from anything back then. People were just dying constantly. Plus, the years after the Civil War, the country's rebuilding.
Right.
So I'm sure like people had other things on their mind than this weird nurse who.
This creepy ass nurse.
She like sometimes is climbing into bed with patients and like
She's
kissing
just
them on their
cuddling
face.
them. It's fine.
She's a little messed up from the Civil War. Who knows? So yeah, that's the story of Jane Toppan. I'm going to be posting links to some of the articles that I used research this. One of them was from the Massachusetts. Nope. The Society for History. That's incorrect. I'll post it. But there's also a picture I'll show you since you're here for the Mineral Water Company.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of cool.
That's funky.
I'll post the link for this too.
I don't know why I just said that's funky.
It is funky. If it loads. It's Hunyadi Mineral Water Company. It was called Saxe Lenher. I don't know, I can't pronounce it, but you can see the Hunyadi. And they're two little French girls. Two little girls. They're really cute.
I mean, they're really cute, but that's also really creepy looking.
It is really creepy, but that's because it's from the 1800s.
That's true. That is really cool, though. I like that you were able to find that.
Yeah, I was trying to find out what this water is, and there's like no information because I don't know why it was so interesting to me, but I was just like, "What's Hunyadi mineral water?" And
well, I mean, you don't hear it nowadays. Obviously, pretty sure it's not a thing anymore.
No, it's not. And it was what it was like. They were saying it was like a laxative and good for all these health benefits, but it was just spring water, and it was probably not. It was probably just like river water, like. I don't know how they purified their water back then, but I'm pretty sure some dude was just going out to the river, filling these bottles up, putting the sticker on them that says Hunyadi de Llanos, and some other words I can't read. But I'm pretty sure he was just giving them away to people on the street.
Maybe it helped cure all those things because there was leeches in the water, and I don't know.
they took all the bad stuff out of you, or the water just killed you before whatever sickness you had killed you. So it did cure you in a way.
That cured you with cured you of life.
Cured you of life. So yeah, that's my story, and now that we're gonna start your story, I'm really enjoying the fact that it's happening at the same time. That's so interesting to me. But does it take place in the United States?
Part of it takes place in Chicago, actually. A lot of it takes place in Chicago.
So close to us, because
he started in Canada.
Oh.
So I like that yours ended the way it did, because the way that she was kind of, and I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly, so we might have to cut this out, but the way that she was kind of using other people to get ahead and blaming other people on things for her to progress, that's kind of what he did. He did a lot of blackmailing of people. So it's kind of neat how
it's so strange because serial killers now, they didn't, at least from the ones that I'm knowledgeable about,
right,
they didn't kill people like that to take their job or to get something out of it. They killed people just because they were killing people.
Right, they just felt like, I'm gonna murder this person.
Yeah, I really feel like murdering today.
It'll get me off.
I feel like getting off today.
I'm gonna go murder someone. Let's go walk the pathways in the woods. Let's see who we can find.
I feel like getting off today is gonna be our first pillowcase, so.
Also, I did have to write down strychnine
because
I thought that was great.
Strychnine.
And it's officially on my list of things to create.
It's really great. Okay, so go ahead with your Dr. Cream.
I'll have to, Dr. Cream.
Dr. Cream.
I'll also have to give you the links for my stuff so that you can post it. Because I use a Canadian history website, Murderpedia, because it's obviously credible.
Murderpedia is credible, but
it has a lot of information.
Nothing showed up when I typed in her name for Murderpedia. I was kind of surprised. I'm sure it's on there, but I never looked. But it didn't show up, so. Okay.
So mine is probably not as organized as yours, but I'm going to go ahead.
I don't know if you call that organized, but okay.
So I looked into Dr. Thomas Neill Cream, which he preferred to be called Dr. Thomas Neill or just Dr. Neill. He actually denied the name Cream, which I completely understand. I mean,
it's kind of weird.
It's kind of weird. I wouldn't go to a Dr. Cream.
Yeah.
Though it does suit him, and I'll explain why later.
I'm going to cut this out, but just so I can tell you. I'm not going to cut it out. I'm just going to bleep out the name. But my gynecologist's name is and I was like, oh my god, my friend said she's gonna wreck you.
Oh my god.
She didn't. I'm okay.
I fucking love that.
I'll just bleep out her name because I love.
Yeah.
I love that.
We don't want to.
Anyways, yeah, if you're a doctor or like you want to be respected in any ways and your last name is Cream, you gotta just let that go.
Yeah. No, he called himself Dr. Neill.
Okay. Dr. Neill.
There's actually not much. You know how a lot of serial killers, like it all starts in their past, it all starts in their childhood, like something happened that just made them...
It broke them. I
couldn't find any information on that. The only thing I could find is that he was born in 1850 in Glasgow, Scotland. And his family actually migrated over to Quebec, Canada, when he was like 4 years old about. And he actually worked with his father at a shipbuilding yard. And at the age of 22 decided, you know what, I don't want to do this. I want to go get my medical degree. So at the age of 22, in 1872, he went to medical school and a mere 4 years later, in 1876, obtained his medical degree for like surgical everything. So I don't know.
Doctor.
Yeah, like a doctor. I don't know how long it takes nowadays, but I feel like 4 years,
It's not 4
nobody
years.
would get certified to do surgery on anyone.
No, I have a friend who's just going to school, who's just a pharmacy tech, and he's been in school since I met him, so he's at least been in school for 4 years, and last time I talked to him, he had many years left. So I'm sure now, if you wanted to be probably a nurse, I'm sure 4 years is probably reasonable, but for
Not
a doctor...
doctor.
Yeah,
like
no.
open your own practice kind of doctor.
Yeah, and like cutting people open doctor, no.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing it for fun, you're going to school.
Well,
for
I
many
mean,
years.
I think part of his was for fun, but
Yeah.
also, I
Of
don't know
course.
if this is a warning for what was about to come in his life, but his thesis paper that he wrote was titled "The Evils of Malpractice in the Medical Profession," and it was on the effects of chloroform. If that's not a warning as to maybe we shouldn't give this guy a medical degree,
Wait.
I don't know what it is.
Maybe he was okay until he did the research for this.
Oh, that could be.
And then
Maybe that's what
he was
got
like,
him.
oh my god, I love this.
But also, he was kind of smart because he titled it "The Evils of Malpractice in the Medical Profession." So it
Yeah.
kind of diverts, like, oh, he wouldn't do this because
Yeah, no, he wrote
He's
this
calling it
paper.
evil.
His thesis was
Right.
on it being evil.
exactly. So maybe he was
He
kind of
doesn't.
smart in that way. That also leads into his blackmailing. He did a lot of that. But
Seems like it. He was
so
onto it.
anyway, I thought, come on, really? I would have been like, what's wrong with you?
I'm your professor now, and I don't like this.
But pretty much right after he graduated, Mr. Cream started his beginnings of killing. It says that he seduced a woman named Flora Brooks, which, well, apparently he got her pregnant.
Oh,
I don't know if that's what seduced means back then, but he
I
got her
think so.
pregnant. And then he decided to perform an abortion, which made her ill.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
It was probably because he only went to school for 4 years.
Maybe. Could be. I don't know if... Also, abortions were illegal back then, so I'm pretty sure he did this, like, I don't know.
Basement.
Maybe in his basement, living room, who knows? Bathroom,
It was probably bathroom.
an outhouse.
Yeah.
Performed
Oh,
in an
yeah.
outhouse. Could be.
I bet.
So, it also says that after learning of her abortion because she became ill, her father actually... And some of them said her father, some said her family, forced Mr. Cream to the church at gunpoint to make him marry her because he had gotten her pregnant. Which doesn't surprise me for the time period, but also if somebody had gotten, I'm just going to say my daughter for the sake of this, I don't have a daughter.
Yeah, Megan doesn't have a daughter.
Yeah, I don't have a daughter. But if somebody got my daughter pregnant and then gave her a backstreet abortion, I don't think I would be like, yes, I want this person to marry my daughter.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I also, like, so this dude's already messed up, but now you're being forced at gunpoint. He's probably not religious. He's killing people. I mean, he could be. I don't know. People kill
knows?
people for God all the time.
It's true.
But just, like, the trauma of someone having a gun to your head, even if you're already crazy, like, you don't want a gun to your head.
No, and that could have probably...
And also, like, he's not gonna love this lady. Like, he already obviously doesn't love her. He would have just married her, and now you're forcing them.
Right. He obviously didn't want to have a kid with her.
And she's being abused. Like, her family, like, well, he gave her an abortion, and like,
yeah.
like, would you really want? Like you said,
Did she want it, or did she like?
I doubt she wanted an abortion.
Probably
I mean,
not.
possibly, but
I don't even know how that was done back then, but I can't imagine it was very sanitary.
no, I
No.
doubt it was. I didn't even know that they knew how to do that back then.
Neither did I. But apparently it was really, like, there was a lot of illegal abortion clinics back in the 1800s for prostitutes and stuff like that.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
That's where he goes. Anyways, also, right after he was forced to marry her, he left, like, the next day for London.
I wonder why.
I believe it was London, Canada, though. I don't believe it was actually London.
There's a London, Canada?
There is a London. I don't remember where it is, but it's in Canada. There's a London.
I'm gonna look it up.
There's a city of London up in Canada. And then it might have been London. You know, I honestly don't remember.
It's
now.
in Ontario.
Ontario, yes, London, Ontario. That's what it was.
It's like a waterlocked piece of land.
That's
It's actually like right above Pennsylvania, London, Ohio. So interesting.
Interesting. Anyways, so while he was in London, Flora died of bronchitis, and it says that her death was caused by consumption.
Oh yeah.
And apparently her doctor, after, this was discussed after Cream's hanging, but it says that her doctor said that Dr. Cream had sent her pills, and that he admitted later, which could just mean, again, he heard of Cream's execution and wanted to say, oh, I knew from the beginning.
Yeah.
But he apparently sent her pills, and so that might have been his first murder, but there's no proof of it.
Probably was.
I'm assuming it was. I would assume so.
Consumption, most people listening might not know. I don't know, they might. I just know this because I read a lot of old stories about people dying. Consumption was what they called tuberculosis. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
it's because they would say your body was consuming itself because your organs were just failing, but really it's just tuberculosis, and they didn't know what it was yet. So if you hear someone
neat.
died of consumption, tuberculosis.
That's good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought consumption meant like she took pills and
I
she
thought
died.
this is gonna sound really dumb, but I thought consumption was like you eat yourself to death. Like you eat
God.
so much food, you die. So,
Oh.
And then I was like, so many people died of consumption? That's not possible. This was like sort of recently. I'm not gonna say how recently that I thought that, but
That's good to know though. That's really interesting because I didn't know that.
I know lots of
That's
random
smart.
odd facts about
I like
tuberculosis.
that. It's good to know. Oh, but while he was in London, which now I'm actually thinking it was real London because I'm remembering it was in Edinburgh, which is in the UK.
Yeah.
I know that one. So it was actual London. It was
Okay.
not London, Ontario.
Man, he went all over. Maybe it
He
was
was-
like
Well, his dad did work for a shipbuilding yard, so he
Oh.
might have gotten some sort of fare across.
yeah. He
the
also
ocean.
like you said he was from Scotland, right? So maybe he
Yeah.
wanted to go back to the UK.
That
But
could be.
is Scotland not part of the UK, or is that
No, it's
Ireland?
not. It's
Oh,
not.
Scotland's not part of the UK.
It's part of Europe, but it's
He
not a
wanted to
part
go
of-
to Europe
He
because
just wanted to
he's
be
from
back. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I'm gonna assume maybe that's probably why.
there. Let's go with that.
But while he was there, he actually got qualification of the Royal Colleges of Physicians and Surgeons in Edinburgh, and he decided to go back to Canada and set up his practice. Oh, and a legal abortion center. That's where that all started.
Oh.
Yeah. So he went across the ocean to get a qualification of royal certification and then came back to Canada to set up his practice. But now you gotta know, this guy is like, I don't even know what year that was, but he is around the age of not even like 30. And
Oh.
he's got Royal Colleges of Physicians and Surgeons certification. He has a medical degree. He's pretty well renowned for
Yeah, who
like,
wouldn't like this guy? Like,
Right,
I
who
want to be
wouldn't?
his friend.
I'd want to go to him as a doctor. Like,
Yeah.
he obviously knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's young.
Right.
Like, you're going to be like, oh my god, this guy's really smart. So most doctors back then were probably like 90.
And if you look up pictures of this guy, he had a pretty cool top hat. So
Oh yeah, you had shown me that, and I remember just looking at him, and my first thought was, "That's a nice hat."
That is a nice hat.
If someone wears a hat like that, they're cool.
They're qualified.
They're qualified
to do
and
whatever.
Cool. You want to perform an illegal abortion on me? Go ahead. You have a good hat.
You have a good hat. It's fine.
Nice hat.
No, either this guy who graduated from the Royal Colleges was stupid or just lazy. I don't know. But no more than a year after he opened his illegal abortion center / doctor's office, his first supposed victim, I say supposed, but in my opinion, it's pretty obvious. Her name was Kate Gardner, and she was found in an outhouse behind his practice with a bottle of chloroform by her body.
This is like a game of Clue. Like, he literally left the weapon right there.
Right, and that's what his thesis was on, was the effects of chloroform.
Oh my god.
So I'm thinking, like, that's why I said either this guy was stupid or just lazy and didn't think about this.
Could be both.
Could be. But yeah, he left her body in an outhouse behind his practice. And unless somebody was really good at framing him and framed him for this, which I don't think is the case,
No. But
he didn't get in trouble for it though, so I mean that's...
I'm assuming, if I'm correct, chloroform, they used it to knock people out for medical purposes. So
I'm pretty sure they did.
This was behind the clinic, the abortion clinic, right?
In an outhouse, yes.
So he had access to endless amounts of chloroform.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just so obvious to me. He definitely killed that girl.
Yeah, that's what I said. To me, it's pretty obvious. Like, it's his first considered known murder victim.
And it's in the bathroom. Like, he couldn't have just killed her outside.
Right.
She's in an outhouse. That's gross.
That's nasty.
If I get murdered, please make sure I'm outside. Thank you.
In the woods, preferably. Like, it's pretty out there.
Yeah. The pretty woods, not the scary woods.
Yeah, no, not like the swamps and stuff. But, no. Anyway, he insisted still, even though it was claimed that she had gone to him multiple times for abortions, that he never did such things and that he considered it was suicide, in his professional opinion.
So he's a liar, too.
Yes. The coroner actually, I saw another excerpt, and I'm not sure where I saw this, but it said that he thought, or when he was looking at it, that the chloroform was given to her, or the chloroform was injected, or
oh, so not inhaled.
Right.
Like,
no,
she actually digested it or had it in her system.
Like, somebody gave it to her ingesting wise. Like, it wasn't just fumes, it was the actual liquid. Huh.
I've never heard of that. I never even thought about having chloroform in you. Like, I wonder if that's
what
like
it would do.
Immediate like kill you, or if maybe that's another way to administer it.
Maybe we should read his thesis
on
the effects of chloroform.
I'll be right back.
Maybe
I'm gonna get on eBay and try to find this.
I did actually purchase the book of Prescription for Murder, the Victorial Serial Killings of Dr. Cream.
Nice.
It says Dr. Neill though, so I'm waiting on that to come in the mail just because I do want to read a little bit more in it.
We can go back if we find like something so cool and just be like, hey guys, update. We found some more crazy information.
By the way, here we go. P.S. PSS. We found more. He wasn't charged with this though, but his reputation was ruined, and so was his practice. So he decided to move to Chicago. And here again, he set up a practice and a legal abortion clinic.
And do you have what year about this was that he moved to Chicago?
I don't, but I'm pretty sure we could figure that out real quick.
Just curious because H.H. Holmes was killing people in Chicago, but I believe
it was around the same time as Jack the Ripper too. It was before Jack the Ripper though, that he moved down to Chicago.
But from me knowing when this thing ends, it's really crazy because H.H. Holmes was active. Well, he was born in 1861. So here's another serial killer. What's going on in the late 1800s?
This time was just full of them. Oh my gosh.
Everyone's just killing everyone. There's so many serial killers in this period.
Considering Jack the Ripper was around that time too. Literally in the same, Dr. Cream was imprisoned at this time, actually, when Jack the Ripper was around though. But that's really neat how it all connects.
H.H. Holmes was in Chicago. And the World's Fair, I don't know if I can pull that up fast enough. 1893 is when the World's Fair is happening, but I think that's a little after yours.
That's the year after he died.
Okay, so never
Yeah.
mind, but still, like, that era is really spooky.
So full of.
Like,
I
that's
always
kind of,
say I wanted to live in Victorian times, and now I know I don't
yeah,
want
it
to live
sounds,
in Victorian times.
we would definitely be murdered.
I would have been murdered a long time ago. But yeah, here again in Chicago, he set up an illegal abortion clinic, and you would think after the first one went oh so well, maybe he would have changed his clientele, but he continued to perform illegal abortions on prostitutes in a very well-known prostitutional area. It also says that he enjoyed the company of many prostitutes, though. So
Who doesn't?
Alicia,
Just typical guy.
typical guy in the 1800s,
Gotta
going
enjoy.
to the brothels.
Yeah.
But yeah, he very much so enjoyed their time. And at this time, an Ellen Stack died from a prescription that he gave her, which was the second known.
Is this one?
killing of him.
Does this one count though? Like, did they count this as a murder? Like
They
an
did not count it
intentional-
as an intentional
Okay.
murder. They actually don't count any of the first deaths as intentional murders, not until he moves back to Lambeth.
Okay.
So while he was in Chicago, they didn't really count any of them as him, except for one, because the reason he wasn't blamed for hers is because he blackmailed and threatened the chemist who provided the prescription, and blamed it on him. So
He got off.
he got off on. He wasn't charged with anything for that one.
He got off, and he also got off.
Probably. Probably.
That was my first thought. I was like, oh wait, I shouldn't have stopped there. It should have said he got off scot-free.
I
But-
was going to say he got off, but then I stopped myself, which is why I paused
I had to
after
say
I
it,
said
sorry.
it. Thank you for
You're welcome.
finishing that.
I'm
for
always
me.
here to make everything worse.
While he was in Chicago, Dr. Cream actually did kill one male out of all of his
Female.
murders, all of his female companions, which was a Mr. Daniel Scott. And he could have gotten away with it, but he just had to run his fucking mouth. Not even gonna lie.
God damn it, Cream.
He almost did get away with it, though. It was ruled natural. It was ruled as an epileptic seizure. And long story short, with this one, Daniel Scott's wife was filling a prescription through Dr. Cream's practice for epilepsy medicine for her husband. So she would go down to the practice, she would grab the prescription, and she would take it home to her husband. Well, at some point during all of this, Dr. Cream seduced her and convinced her to take out life insurance on her husband. He then gave her strychnine pills instead of epilepsy medicine.
Oh my God.
And his plan was that he would get the husband killed, which would then give her the insurance premium. But he wasn't going to stop there. He was going to sue and extort the pharmacist and the chemist for more money because of the faulty medicine
Oh my
that he
God.
had given.
He had it all set up.
He had it all set up.
But just one thing quick with the strychnine that I forgot to mention
Yeah.
earlier when we brought it up. So yeah, it's a pesticide.
Right, yeah.
Used to kill like mice and like not groundhogs. What do people kill? Gophers? I don't know.
Gophers, weasels.
It's illegal in the UK.
Wow.
Because the tiniest dosage is like almost lethal to humans. And it's only allowed in certain states here, but for underground use only.
Oh, wow.
So I guess like if
So
there's
it's still around today.
yeah, they still use it today. But I'm assuming it's not as popular, and I'm sure if you buy strychnine, if you can even buy it, and you're not part of some like Orkin, if you don't work for Orkin or Terminex and you buy strychnine, I'm pretty sure you're either
On the
followed by
police's shit list?
yeah, you're on the shit list, and your FBI agent is mad at you.
Definitely.
Sorry, I just wanted to include that. Go ahead.
Also, I don't know if this is going to make it into the podcast, but I just want to say that I've always called my FBI agent Kevin. So I
You
always
have a
just,
name
I have a
for
Kevin.
us?
I have a Kevin.
I
He's
have
my
it.
FBI agent.
I haven't named mine, but he definitely hates me. And he's seen those Google searches, so if I'm not on a list after this podcast, Well, I should have been on the list before. I've Googled some really crazy stuff, but I'm definitely on the list now.
That's for another episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later. But yeah, his plan was to sue the pharmacist and the chemist and get more money for Mrs. Scott. However, the coroner who took care of Daniel Scott's death ruled it an epileptic seizure. So he died of an epileptic seizure, according to the coroner. So
And he had epilepsy.
yeah, and he had epilepsy.
So
the strychnine probably showed symptoms similar to what an epileptic seizure would have.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the like number one.
Convulsions, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
convulsions
Yeah.
is the number one like symptom of someone who's had strychnine poisoning if they're not already dead.
Right. So I'm assuming that that's probably why they ruled it that. Well, the body was buried, and there was actually a funny note that said that a gravestone was erected, and I don't know if this is true, but I kind of want to look into it and see if it exists. But it says a tombstone was erected that says Daniel Scott killed by his wife and Dr. Cream, or poisoned by his wife and Dr. Cream, or something like that.
So someone was like,
So
this
somebody
guy,
was like, I fucking knew it. Like, I know what happened, and
but
I'm
the
gonna tell
police
the
were
world.
just like,
Well, the police didn't think anything of it because the coroner deemed it a
yeah.
seizure. But, like I said earlier, Mr. Cream just had to go and run his mouth because he went to the chemist who made the pills, and he went to the district attorney, and he talked to the coroner, and he was just like, this guy did not die of an epileptic seizure. He was poisoned by the pills that the pharmacist gave me. He was poisoned by those. So he went to the district attorney, had the body exhumed, where they found enough strychnine in the body to kill someone 3 times over.
oh my god.
And then they arrested him for murder.
Oh, so he screwed him. That's how they always get caught. They screw themselves over.
He wanted to get the extra money for her. He had his plan, and it was so foolproof to him that he decided, I'm going to go to the district attorney. We're going to get this body fucking exhumed, and I'm going to get this bitch her money.
Thank God he did that though.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have gotten caught. He would have just kept who knows how many more people. But
Well, that wasn't his last murder.
oh,
He was
okay.
let out.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he was convicted of murder, and he was released. Actually, I think of like a few years later, not even a year or so. Like, he wasn't in jail for very long.
Oh, so jail time since then hasn't really changed
much. No.
Yeah, he spent 20 years in prison for drugs, but you know, you murder someone, you get a couple years.
A year or two is fine, you know. But after he was released, our Mr. Cream went on another final killing spree in Lambeth, where he poisoned 5 prostitutes in a span of 4 months. He then wrote multiple letters under false names, trying to throw suspicions elsewhere, which obviously did not work because he was eventually caught and hanged. But to top it all off, he took a friend, the New York detective John Haynes, on a tour of some of the murder scenes. As if that didn't scream, I killed them. I did it.
Guys, want to come see this really cool place? No one died here that I killed.
But you know, I know all the details because this person was poisoned here and they died. And
That's interesting though that he like involves him. He involves
himself
with the police. That happened so much. John Wayne Gacy was literally like best friends with police officers. So like,
Yeah.
you know, why would you suspect your friend?
And it said that John Hayne was his friend, so he was friends with the New York's detective, and just decided, you know what, I'll take you on a tour of these. After all of this, after he murdered these ladies, which it went into a lot more detail onto each of the murders, but they were all pretty similar. They came to him for abortions, he gave them medicine, they went home, they took the pills. There was one lady that he tried to give pills to, and she ended up throwing them over a bridge into the water and not taking them. And because she thought that it was kind of weird that he had given her pills, and she didn't trust taking them, so she didn't. So there is one survivor out of
A survivor.
all these people that he killed.
She probably got one of those weird gut feelings that you always should listen to.
Yes, and she threw them over a bridge. And then she later testified against him, which is what got him in prison with the death penalty.
Yes.
So
Good job, lady. She's
One-
dead now, but
one more thing about him, though, is that apparently with all of his blackmailing, it kind of makes sense. They've linked 3 letters that came in claiming to, there was multiple letters that came in claiming to be Jack the Ripper.
oh yeah.
They've matched his handwriting to 3 of those.
Oh
or
my
like
God.
aspects of his handwriting to 3 of them. So, which makes sense with him. Like, he could have written in stating like, oh, I'm Jack the Ripper, ha ha ha, and then not actually being it because he was trying to like throw suspicion.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was also thought to be Jack the Ripper, but he was in prison when the Jack the Ripper murders happened. So there's no way that it could have been him.
But he could have still written the letters easily.
Right, he could have definitely written the letters because he was out of prison.
I'm sure he was just bored. Like, he was mad that he couldn't kill anymore, and he was like, hey, someone's killing, and I want to be involved. So he wrote
I want to be that person, so I'm gonna write letters saying that I'm Jack the Ripper.
Psychopath behavior.
They also say that as the hangman was pulling the lever, that he said, I am Jack. But these were private killings, so there was no public audience to these because it was after the outlaw of public hangings. So this was a private hanging, so there was only like 2 or 3 people probably that ever heard this. But on Wikipedia, I'm gonna quote. They said, or somebody mentioned that instead of I am Jack, maybe he said I am ejaculating.
Sorry, I knew this was coming because we talked about it the other day.
We did. So maybe that's what he said instead.
Because they said he lost control of his bodily functions, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking that honestly it probably makes more sense that he would have tried
Oh yeah.
to claim to be Jack the Ripper at the last second,
I
but he
don't
never
think-
finished his sentence.
I don't
they
think
hanged him.
anyone's ever said non-jokingly, I am ejaculating.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I wouldn't think so.
I mean, I'm not gonna go there. Never mind. But yeah, he probably did. He seemed. I mean, most serial killers are narcissists, and he wanted all the attention, even after death, that he could get. So it wouldn't surprise me that he was trying to make everyone believe that he was Jack the Ripper.
But at the same time, that still, with all of the FBI profiling I have in my history, it doesn't fit his MO because every single time that he was accused of something, he blackmailed somebody to take the blame off of himself and to put the blame on everybody else. He didn't want to be the one to blame. He kept trying to blame everyone else. So I'm thinking, would he have written stating he was Jack the Ripper? Would he have tried to say that?
Well, you're saying the handwriting matched, or could have been.
Yeah,
He had similar
handwriting. But was he trying to write that letter pretending to be somebody else under a fake name? Because he used a lot of fake names when he was trying to blackmail everybody into thinking that he didn't kill these people.
Yeah.
When he obviously did. Because he's the only common person they had in common.
The other thing too is it's not as easy to fake someone else's handwriting as you think it would be, but also handwriting as evidence is completely useless.
Mm-hmm.
In the Zodiac case, there's just so many things about the handwriting that it's this guy, it's this guy, it's this guy, because they all write the same way, but it's just so hard to narrow it down.
Well, even if you look at my handwriting on half of these papers, it changes so dramatically every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Some of it's really loose, loopy cursive, some of it's really tight.
I typed mine because my handwriting gets ridiculous. Yeah, that was
Jolly Jane.
Jolly Jane and Mr. Cream. Dr. Cream.
Dr. Cream.
Sorry. He You know what? He didn't want to go by Dr.
He
Cream,
wanted Dr. Neill.
but I'm calling him Dr. Cream.
I like to call him Mr. Cream. I think it's funny, like Mr. Cream, Mr. Cream.
It sounds like a nightmare story.
It does, honestly. Kind of like what's the one?
It's Mr. Something, right?
Mr. Smiley?
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking about. I don't like that one.
Okay, anyways.
So yeah, this is our first podcast, and we're not used to doing this, so it's I'm sure it's not great, but
We'll get better.
Yeah, we'll get better, and it wasn't as awkward as we thought it would be. At first, it was.
It was kind of fun hearing the other stories, though.
Yeah, I like
to learn.
Yeah, learning that, and also being able to like chime in with your part. It's not someone just reading a story.
Right. It's kind of like a conversation.
Yeah, and I did. We have a Facebook page, which is, if you're hearing this, I'm sure you got it from the Facebook page, but it's Oddify. Oddify is the podcast name, because we are going to be talking about lots of odd topics. And where was I going with this?
Oh, you were probably going to say about the person that we have, or we want to sponsor local artists and have their stuff at the end of our podcast.
Yeah, I posted on both sites if anyone was interested. Like, we want to feature local. For the end of the podcast, we would really like to have like a song to play and different every week. Like, we would sponsor different bands. I haven't heard back from anybody that wants to do it, but it's free advertising. And we can get, I don't know how many people are going to listen to our podcast, but someone will, I'm sure, maybe. So, that's at least one person that's going to hear about your band. So if you're interested, let us know. We can message us on Facebook, or we have an email. It's Oddify, Oddify podcast @gmail.com. And also I was thinking maybe we could take suggestions for topics to cover.
Definitely.
And then also, like, if anyone wants to submit anything at all, just go ahead and email us there. And yeah, we can, if you have like a personal story, maybe we could include personal stories.
We did want to do some just horror stories. Like, I don't know if anybody's heard of Mr. Nightmare on YouTube, but I'm a huge fan. And he does a lot of like true horror stories, or if anybody has any stories that they'd want us to read on the podcast, that might be fun.
Yeah, we could probably like
chat about
try
it
to accrue a couple of like a little pile of stories, and then we can do a whole podcast where we just read personal stories. You can remain anonymous if you want, or we can give you a shout out. I think that's a really good idea.
I think that'd be a good idea. I think that'd be fun too, because then we get to read some people's stories that are listening.
Yeah.
And kind of get to know.
And then they feel cool too, because we're reading their story.
Heck yeah.
We do have a couple of ideas each of like things we want to do in the future. Like, I want to do Mothman for sure, because I love the Mothman story.
Yes.
I was thinking it'd be cool to do like twin synchronicities. Like, you know how twins have like this weird connection where they can feel like the other person in some ways, and like they kind of share a mind in a lot of aspects. I thought that was interesting.
I would love to talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I was thinking we could do like funny conspiracy theories, like stuff that's just insane to believe, and I'm sure people do. And then I don't know, like history of seances was one that I thought would be really, really fun.
That would be really fun. I also want to do something on like exorcisms, just because I think there's such a broad history of it, and there's such a stigma with it that it's kind of, I think it'd be really interesting to research some cases
and spooky.
Yes, love the spooky.
We might keep up more like spooky stuff, like ghosts and demons, stuff like that, maybe more towards Halloween.
Yes, that'd be a good
idea. That'd be really cool. We could do like a Halloween podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, go ahead and email us if you want. If you have a business or anything at all and you want to get it out there, we are more than happy to promote it for free. So I think that's it.
I think so. I don't have anything to add.
No, and my cat didn't scream this whole time. He was really good.
He's looking at you like, yeah, that's right. Just wait till next time.
He's waiting until 3 a.m. when I am asleep, deep sleep, and then he'll scream. But thank you if you've listened to the whole thing or just a part of it and you're hearing this. Thank you for supporting us, and we really hope that you will listen in the future. I don't know how often we're gonna be uploading, maybe a couple times a month, but it kind of depends on our schedules and also, if anyone's interested. We'll probably still make it if no one's listening.
Even if no one's interested, I still have a fun time just hanging out and doing this.
Yeah, let's keep doing it. Even if
definitely
not one person listens to this, we're still gonna record it. So screw you guys.
Right.
Oh yeah, and stay tuned for our first bit of merch, which is gonna be a mug that says Strychnine.
Definitely, I'm in.
We've got this. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
And have a good night. Stay tuned.
Don't get murdered.
Yeah, please don't get murdered. That would be bad. Hey guys, it's Alicia. I just wanted to record this quick. We did not have this intro when we recorded, but my amazing cousin Quentin Pilot made this specifically for us, and it is just fantastic. So I just wanted to give him a shout out for that. And also, if anyone is interested in hearing more from him, or if you have something similar where you need some music, give me a message or email oddifypodcast@gmail.com, and I will hook you up with him. It's fantastic. So we're just thrilled to have a good intro like this. We don't deserve it. Hopefully everyone can enjoy it a little bit. So thank you again for listening, and stay tuned. We're hoping to record next Wednesday. We're going to be doing curses as our next episode. Bye.